Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. And happy Women's History Month. Can that get a round of applause? So I am so excited to be here for the first and foremost, a Women's History celebration where the focus is on creating a safer, fairer, and more equitable New York. I'm Renee Daniel Flagler, author and the proud executive director of Girls, Inc. of Long Island. And this morning, yes, and this morning I have the distinct honor of introducing the amazing host of this event, our esteemed governor of this fine state. Governor Kathy Hochul started her career in government as a Capitol Hill staffer, serving as an aide in Congress to John LaFalce and Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan in Washington, D.C. But after moving back to her hometown in Western New York, you always have to bring it back home, and starting a family, she decided to run for office. So after serving on the Hamburg Town Board with a focus on addressing local economic issues, she became Erie County Clerk. On both the town board and among the Erie County professionals, she was the only woman serving. She also spent a term as a congresswoman. As lieutenant governor, the governor led economic development and job creation initiatives across the state. She also chaired the Women's Suffrage Commission and the New York State Child Care Availability Task Force, and was a champion for ending domestic violence. Can we get an amen on that one? Also expanding paid family leave. That's right. And eliminating the gender wage gap. And while we've made significant progress regarding gender equity and women's rights, we still have glass ceilings and barriers to break. We need more women in the C-suite, in the boardrooms, in government, and in leadership across all industries. And Governor Hochul exemplifies what strong women leadership looks like. And that's why we're here today. In these challenging times, we need a leader like Governor Hochul. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce New York's first female governor. Y'all could do better than that. New York's first female governor, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, everyone. And yes, indeed, it is Women's History Month. Let's make some more history, my friends. But as I've said all along, it's more important than making history is making a difference. And that's what all of you do. And that's why I wanted to gather you here today to celebrate, yes, our great history in the state of New York, but also the accomplishments of so many people, and the culmination of these efforts are going to lead to a bill signing in a few moments. So Renee Flagler, thank you for bringing the energy here today, and thank all you've done for Girls Incorporated in Long Island. We've worked together for a long, long time, Renee, so thank you for all you do. Also, Tori Kelly, our co-founder of the Sexual Harassment Working Group. Tori, let's give it up for her. Having the courage to stand up and speak truth to power the way that you have. You've given a voice to so many people who've had to live in the shadows and suffer in silence. So Tori, thank you and everyone who's part of this working group for making tremendous progress. And also we have amazing allies in our legislature. Andrew Gennardis, our senator, who's one of our bill sponsors. I'd like to give it up for him. One of the enlightened men in our legislature. Thank you very much. Alexandra Biaggi, senator, also a bill sponsor. I don't know if she's here. I see Senator Biaggi's right here. Senator Biaggi. Yuleen New, the assembly member, one of our bill sponsors. And Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas, another one of our bill sponsors. But I also can't forget my other friends in government. Cordell Clear is here, for our senator from this great place of Harlem. I know that area well, home of my lieutenant governor. Cordell Clear is here. Jessica Seawright is here. Rebecca, I was reading the wrong. Rebecca Seawright. Udelka Tapia is here from the Assembly. Joanne Simon's here. Catalina Cruz is here. Vanessa Gibson, our borough president in the Bronx. Gail Brewer is here, our council member from Manhattan, as well as Marjorie Velasquez, our city council member. Melinda Katz, I think, is in the house. Melinda Katz here. Look, I got to look at this side of him, our great district attorney, as well as other friends in many offices. But it's here the advocates. The advocates are the ones I am here to celebrate, because it was advocates like you who stood up in 1848 and said, enough is enough. We are sick and tired of being treated like the property of men and having no rights. Certainly not the audacity to even think they could have the right to vote, but we're denigrated. And those who stood up were ostracized by their communities, their families, and yet they marched on. And because they had that courage in a small place called Seneca Falls and gathered 300 of them, now I'm figuring out how without social media and GPS did they even know how to get to Seneca Falls? So I'm going to always ponder that thought for a long time. But they found their way, and they paved a way for the rest of us. And I honor that history because this is New York. This is the birthplace of the women's rights movement, and that is why we gather here in this moment in history, our own history, as we make history that I want people in future generations to talk about what we did in our time to lift up women and children, to give them a better chance and a better outcome. So to the leaders and the activists who are fighting for equality and continue to lift up the voices, I honor all of you. And let's talk a little bit about that history. The long journey from Seneca Falls to 1917, and many of you gathered with us as we celebrated the centennial of women's right to vote here in the state of New York. And we had a celebration, for a long celebration over a year and a half, and talked about that history because we want people of today and our children to understand that these rights did not come easily. They came because of a lot of courageous people who persevered and fought forward. And as a result, we do have the right to the ballot box, but it was not there for everyone. It wasn't until the Voting Rights Acts in the 60s that black women had the right to vote as well. So let's acknowledge that part of our history. So you think about the great names. Sojourner Truth, great statue of her. I just named a beautiful new state park after Sojourner Truth. Harriet Tubman, one of my personal heroes as a child growing up, thinking about her incredible courage. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Lucretia Mott. These are the names that sound like they're from the past, but those are the echoes I hear every day as I continue as the first woman governor of this state. I know that they are also watching me, and I'll be judged by what we do in this time, just as we look back at that time as well. And that's what we talk about today. But beyond a sense of history, and I want you to be steeped in that knowledge that we did not get here without a lot of struggle. What are our struggles today? We saw what this pandemic did to the women of our state. It brought them down. I wrote a column literally within 2 weeks of that pandemic hitting us saying women are already being disproportionately hit by this pandemic because they are the first responders. They are the nurses running into those flames that they encountered when they went into the unknown in their jobs every day trying to heal people from this unknown, scary disease. It was the nurses, it was the frontline workers, it was the people who continued to take care of our children during a pandemic that allowed other people to get to their jobs. The people who drove the buses and the subways, the people who cleaned the hotels that were open, but the people who lost their jobs as well. They lost their income. And even those who had a job to go to, they had children at home. How do you balance that? The kids need to be educated at the kitchen table. So we saw the inequities, the disparities, the challenges that were there before, but were just exacerbated by this pandemic. So that was a call to all of us. What are we really doing to help lift women up so they can have the better paying jobs, so they can have the luxury of zooming into life should there be another pandemic, instead of having to be on the front line in low-wage jobs? Let's turn that around. Let's talk about pay equity, how women still in the great state of New York are not paid the same as men. And I know Roberta Reardon, our great Commissioner of Labor, understands this because she has been a champion to change that dynamic. And the child care crisis. During my introduction, it was mentioned that I worked for Senator Moynihan. Why did I leave that job that I loved? I didn't have child care. I had to leave a job I loved and to go back where I had more of a support system back home, because a lot of people a long time ago were not talking about child care. That was your own problem. That's your problem. You wanted to have kids. The bosses didn't care. you figured out, although Senator Moynihan was very nice about it. He said, come back anytime. But society didn't seem to care about it. The economy didn't seem to care about it. But right now, in this point in history, they do care about it, because that's why our buildings aren't filled up yet, because women have to still be home taking care of the kids. So I'm trying to get our major employers to be enlightened and realize that they have the power. They can help alleviate this. Why aren't we using some of our vacant space that may never be filled again and putting in child care centers? People will be coming back to work in droves. Let's be creative about how we deal with this. And making sure that the health care disparities that hit women, but particularly people in communities of color, why are the numbers so much higher, the people who contracted the disease and succumbed to the disease, higher in those communities? That's why I have Dr. Mary Bassett at my side, to make sure that we peel back and find out what happened, so we are never leaving any society or any community so exposed again. That's what we're going to do. So I mentioned a few members of my administration. I am so proud that I was able to assemble the best and the brightest. I have over 25 key cabinet members who are women, because I went after the smartest. I went after the most compassionate people, and I want to honor those who are here today. I see Fran Barrett here as well. Fran, thank you for your many years of service as well. So it's about bringing smart people together. It's about teaming up with the advocates. It's about getting things over the finish line. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That yes, we've had a challenge, women. No surprise to any of us. Sexual harassment in the workplace is as old as the workplaces. It's been there a long time. And it was just under the radar. No one really talked about it. It's what you put up with if you want to work in the male-dominated places, whether it's politics, whether it's construction sites, whether in tech businesses. It's been out there a long time, but nobody ever had the courage to just say, I'm willing to stand up, until we heard some voices of women in Albany and started forming the sexual harassment workforce and said there has to be a better way. We have to be able to protect women and let them know that there is a safe place for them. No matter where they want to work, that place must be safe for them. I also champion this, going to countless college campuses, talking about sexual assault and harassment on campuses. We send our daughters off for an education, and trying to integrate into society, they have to be in this environment where there's date rape and harassment, and they have to sit with their classmates. Someone who harassed them or raped them or attacked them the night before, they have to still sit in class with them because there are no laws to protect those young women. That has changed as well. So I am very proud today to announce that we will be signing a number of bills that came through this process. To the advocates who made this happen and their champions in the legislature, I'm proud to sign bills that will address sexual harassment in the workplace and say that once and for all, my administration has cleaned house. This is a new day in New York, as I said on the first day, that everyone has the right to a safe, secure workplace where they are valued and respected. We created a human resources department, a real one. So actually, real complaints can be heard by real people who will take action. We actually have an outside law firm available for people to complain to, so there's no sense that anybody within my administration can cover up or sweep something under the rug. No longer will women have to live in fear in any workplace, particularly in our administration. So I've also directed all of our employees to have anti-harassment training, everybody. Okay, was not going on before, but also I said, and it's going to be in person. You know why? Because I know people just click through, right? Are they really paying attention? I want real accountability. I want everyone who calls themselves a state employee to have been trained in anti-harassment training. And also, to make sure there's no conflict of interest, I want people to feel safe with making sure that they know that there's an environment that'll listen to them and take them seriously and act upon it. That is the change that we're talking about. So today, the bills I'm signing will help everyone know that they can live and also work in an environment where they'll have dignity, respect, and the safety they deserve. First of all, we'll be signing a bill sponsored by Senator Biaggi and co-sponsored by Yulie New in the Assembly that establishes a toll-free confidential hotline for complaints of workplace sexual harassment. There'll be trained people. There'll be a link to people who are attorneys who can help them deal with what they're going through, but a place they can just make a phone call, and we will advertise this phone number. So that is an important step, first of all, to get that toll-free number up there, and let's get that done with the signing of the bill today. Congratulations. Also, Senator Gennardis and Yuli New, this will include that all state and public employers are now subjected to the human rights law. Seems like there was a loophole out there. Let's close the loophole once and for all that says that you are subjected to the human rights laws, and that means that your employees have all the protections that are out there in the private sector. They now are conferred upon all state workers for the first time. Human rights law will now be changed. Also, Senator Gennardis and Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas, we are now going to be prohibiting retaliatory action by employers against employees who oppose unlawful discriminatory practices as well. So congratulations on stopping retaliatory action in the workplace as well. So this is not the end. This is just the beginning. These are the bills that are on my desk. I know there are more bills that are being considered by the Senate and the Assembly. And I look forward to keeping my pens sharp here, my pencil sharp, to be able to sign as you make the progress through the legislature over the next session. Because I will work with you. You have an advocate in me. You have a champion who understands that not only do I want to protect everyone today, but I have a daughter. I have a daughter and a granddaughter on the way. So this is personal for me as well. So I'm honored to represent you. I'm honored to be a champion on causes to support women, as I've done since the early days when my mother became an advocate for victims of domestic violence, before anybody else was talking about this in the 70s. And she got laws changed in our legislature because of her advocacy. And my sister Sheila is here today, who went on this journey with me when my mother to open up a home for victims of domestic violence. And I want to recognize her for having to deal with a sister like me. So to all my sisters, I thank you. I thank you. And I want to say, we're just getting started. Let's sign some bills. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Please welcome Tori Kelly, co-founder of Sexual Harassment Working Group.
Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. My name is Tori Kelly, and I'm a co-founder of the Sexual Harassment Working Group. The working group, which was founded to push trauma-informed laws, is a collective of former staff of elected officials who experienced or reported harassment in the New York State Legislature. In their unpaid spare time, they have already made an impact on our state. 10 years ago, I came forward against my boss, former Assemblyman Vito Lopez, who was a powerful figure in New York State politics. After multiple investigations substantiated the claims I made against him, as well as the experiences of many other women, we were met with resistance in court, and no one was willing to be accountable. I am very grateful that these 3 bills are being signed, but especially the bill to close the personal staff loophole, also known as the license to harass, which was a defense used against me when I was seeking justice. I appreciate that the trauma that I have endured has now better informed our laws. All 3 bills are vital so that victims trust the system and feel safe to bring their cases forward. My experience may have made the news, but it's not unique. Today, we are taking a major step forward, but there is still so much to do. Sexual harassment remains prevalent, and we will continue to root it out and dismantle the systems that protect abusers. For those of you who know my story, you know that we took on powerful people and institutions, and we were ignored, rejected, and further traumatized. So this opportunity to speak with you all here, with this seal in front of me, is truly remarkable, and at times in my life was completely unfathomable. I want to thank the Assembly and the Senate for their work, the sponsors for passing these important laws, especially my boss, Senator Gennardis, who is a true ally. I'd like to thank all the staff as well for making this possible, for making today possible. I am staff. I know how hard they work. And lastly, and most importantly for today, I want to convey my sincere gratitude to Governor Hochul for this opportunity and for signing these bills. It means the world. Thank you so much. Let's sign the bills.
Please remain at your tables until the signing is finished and the program concludes.